Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are the members of Mystery Death Theater 5000, a YouTube channel that does riffs of horror games and survival horror in particular. We're doing something kind of different today. We were very much taken by the Silent Hill and Resident Evil showcases this past week in 2022 in October, and we are going to just go ahead and kind of take some extra time to discuss things because it's good to get in the conversation a little bit.
It's also big news, so we need to react to it somehow.
Right.
So, reactions.
Yes, reactions. First reaction is Bloober Team. Yay.
And Rick died.
I think
and he's
so.
back.
And there he is. There he is. He's back. Okay. The We're gonna be a little off again. This is gonna be very informal. Don't expect us to have as much structure as we usually do with these sort of things. Like we're just kind of, just Hey, there you are.
Hey, Rick.
There we go.
I take it your reaction to Blooper Team was, no, I'm out.
Yeah. It worked out well.
It started off so well.
It's funny, actually. I'm still catching up on these showcases in their entirety because I watched like segments of them through the week because I was really busy with work. And it's great talking about the Silent Hill stuff and all the Bloober that we're going to go into while I'm watching the Resident Evil 4 remake trailer, which is making me very excited for like, wow, this actually might be a Resident Evil 4 that I like.
And we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
But right now, Blooper Team. I think I speak for everyone, including Vanessa and some of our usual guests. Okay, it's Bloober Team, but not hugely excited about that.
The thing about Bloober, and so let's do a real quick like history for ourselves, because obviously anyone who's familiar with Bloober Team knows their history, but for us, I have played a little bit of Layers of Fear. I have watched Layers of Fear and its DLC streamed. I've played about an hour and a half of Observer and about 2.5 hours of Blair Witch. I have not finished any of their games and was pretty ambivalent, or actually very positive initially. And that's kind of soured over time, especially with regards to like games like The Medium and kind of the reveals about Blair Witch's kind of deeper story mechanics.
I think that kind of sums up Bloober Team for everyone, is that they can start off strong, but very quickly you kind of start to find yourself mired in little things that take away from the game you're playing, but they come quickly enough and often enough that it's just, you can't enjoy it. It takes away too much from the game.
Yeah, which is incredibly unfortunate because there's so much polish that they do try to put into the stuff they make, and there's clearly some very talented people at the Bloober Team offices. They have great art directors. They have talented they've had talented voice talent. They have some very solid material. I mean, even the design of the first hour and a half of Blair Witch, until it starts getting kind of ridiculous, and the whole like, and when I say ridiculous, that is to say the scenes where the witch is chasing you, having to use your flashlight to scare it off, it is one of the most atmospheric, immersive force sequences I've just ever experienced in a video game. And it's so there's some very talented people, but it's that sort of, you chip away at it and you start to see there's problems, and this is definitely going to come down to an issue of taste, because these are issues, especially narratively, that we have a tendency to focus on because of the fact we are very narrative people. We either are writers or we're people that are very into the medium of writing, no pun intended.
We're storytellers.
Right. Exactly.
But kind of one thing I do want to point out as well, my big problem with Bloober is they're not great with mental health issues.
Right.
And it is a very common thread throughout their games. Layers of Fear, Blair Witch, The Medium. And the thing is, like, they do it well enough that you kind of think, oh yeah, this is a good story, but then there comes that point where it's like, the quality drops off immensely.
Mm-hmm. It's, I think a way I would describe it is Bloober is the type of team, they're narrative folks, and especially people like working on the medium and to an extent also Blair Witch. They're people telling stories about mental health issues and mental health struggles without having empathy for those struggling with mental health issues.
Yeah. The biggest example we'll go into here, just because it's such an older game, is the protagonist in Layers of Fear,
Mm-hmm.
who is undoubtedly undergoing some sort of mental breakdown. But the more you see of him, the more of a villainous character he becomes.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he does do some terrible things to his family, but at the same time, there's never anything that kind of presents him as an ill man. He's just always seen as something of a monster.
There's never the moments of reflection to show him struggling with his demons, and also, or I guess they're like, I guess what I would say also is, as you're, I think what you're getting at also, I guess to piggyback on it, they have this tendency to equate mental illness with villainry rather than saying it's a cause of people acting out emotionally, physically in ways that are destructive, both externally and internally.
It actually kind of reminds me of one of the endings in Bioshock 2. And I think it's actually the good ending or the best ending, where throughout your actions throughout the game, you beat Sophia Lamb, you escape, but you save Sophia and Eleanor. And you teach Eleanor that there is no such thing as evil, it's people in pain.
Wow.
And I think Blooper does not show that. They keep forgetting that. It's not this person is inherently evil. This is somebody in pain who cannot express the pain they are feeling and are lashing out.
Right. Because that's, when we come at stories about villains, and stories with really good rounded villains, it's not that we're trying to sympathize with their actions per se. We're trying to sympathize with the hurt child that's buried behind all of the violence and terror that they create. And that's, because when you think of, like, to look at an archetype of horror movies, Leatherface, imagine being a baby born into that family, and you have to have some degree of sympathy for the baby that is growing up in that environment, and you would like to hope that there is still that scared child that was being traumatized and being given these horrible witnessing horrible things around them, and being able to sort of see that those moments of humanity. And this is not to say like, oh, then the shock twist of, the et cetera. The point is, what is the end goal? What is the point of what you're trying to say? Because one of the things I get at with, especially like, what I've seen discussed and what I've watched of the cutscenes of the medium, and I will say, like, I'm not extremely experienced with the new, the ins and outs and nuances of these games, because some of these games, because I haven't played them myself, but the medium's take, where it pushes a narrative of the victim being the problem, and that their mental illness is essentially, or the effect of their mental illness, which is the creature, I can't remember its name, is incurable.
But I think like that's something we're concerned about with Silent Hill, is because it's very much a game where a person's internal issues come to the fore.
Exactly.
And every Silent Hill game is about them dealing with those issues.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can, they come out on the other side better for it. If they can't, they're doomed.
Exactly. I mean, when we think of even the original Silent Hill with Harry's journey, basically in some way, what's really kind of beautiful about the story of Harry Mason is it is a tale of a adopting father learning what horrors his child had before the child came into his life and doing his best to save them from that and give them another chance. And that's a very, heartfelt, it's an optimistic, but that is also, but I mean, within the lore of the franchise, obviously, Heather is going to go into other stuff later when she grows up. But yeah, that level of understanding yourself and getting to the other and understanding the people around you and getting to the other side, hopefully better, is so pivotal to the Silent Hill franchise. Like even Silent Hill 4 and the connection Henry makes with his neighbor, is, I think, is really is significant. And the I don't see enough from Bloober so far, especially their narrative team, to say that they're going to have that catharsis as a really
It
as
says a lot about Blooper's ability that several members of the Japanese team are working on this game.
I think so. That's a good point to bring up. How do we feel about that? Do we feel like this is a genuine gesture, or do we feel like this is they're paying them enough money to come back and they're doing it for marketing reasons?
I'm gonna say the latter for sure.
Yeah, I think it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, we want to do this right, but we also want this done properly.
But do you think Yamaoka would come back? I mean, he hasn't been with Konami since what was the PSP game? Origin? Not Origins.
No, actually, it was after that. It was Homecoming 2009. That was
Oh,
his
he
last.
did a Homecoming too? Okay.
Yeah, Homecoming's soundtrack
forgot.
is fan-fucking-tastic, by the way.
Oh, one thing I did want to mention about the conversation just a moment ago is that I think if there's a saving grace with Blueberry doing this, is that the story's already there and they don't have to come up with their own. Unless they make changes, then we're in trouble. But if they stick
That,
to the original, I think because it's already there and as complex as it is and written well and all of that stuff, they might be okay.
but therein lies the problem, because if you stick with the original story, why play the remake when you can just find Silent Hill 2? Just the very nature of it being a remake means that there will be some change, at
Right?
least in some of the story.
Why you gotta bring the mood down, man?
The other
I was
No
trying to
idea.
find a positive here, damn it, Paul.
I just like people suffering.
The thing I will add on to this regarding the remake factor changes, etc. I have two things to say about that. The first is I'm honestly, it's kind of like the same problem. We're going to get to this also with Resident Evil 4. I am so inundated with images from the original Silent Hill games, especially 2, that if it is too much the same, I don't feel much desire to play it to begin with. And that is something even with Resident Evil 4 that I'm honestly kind of struggling with a bit. And I'm actually like at the point of, I think after the showcase, I'm going to probably avoid Resident Evil 4 trailers, I think, until the game comes out and just play it. Regarding Silent Hill 2, the other issue that I think is going to be that is going to come up, and people have already brought this up. The very fantastic Voidburger brought this up already, is that one of the problems with Silent Hill 2 being remade is that the original Silent Hill 2 is incredibly difficult to find right now. As in, the mass audiences do not have access to it the same way they have had access to Resident Evil 1, to an extent 2 and 3, because when the 2 and 3 remakes were, or sorry, the remake of 2 was basically announced, you could still get Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation 3 store. And you could, I believe it,
Yeah.
and I don't remember if it's been on PS now, but I would not be surprised. And Final Fantasy VII, as another example, has been all over the place. It's been ported to every. I mean, it's on mobile. You can get it on your tablet. And Silent Hill 2, it's either getting a used PS2 copy or even worse, an Xbox copy, which is considered the definitive one because of the Born from a Wish add-on. Those are running.
Don't forget as well the HD remasters they did a few
which
years
is
ago,
which is basically unplayable for most people.
Yeah.
And it's really not the ideal way to play it and experience it. And so your only alternatives to get the best old school experience is either get original hardware, upconvert it with a HDMI composite converter, and then the other is to emulate with a bunch of, or get the PC version with the enhanced edition patches, which is, it's a huge hurdle to get over. And that is so I think I don't know if I necessarily feel one way or the other, because I think it'll just have to be until we just see it, because it's kind of like the remake of Psycho, right? Where Gus Van Sant did an interesting thing by doing it literally shot for shot. He followed the shot list. He even put in stuff back into it that Hitchcock had cut out, like the masturbation scene. And the only thing that made it different and kind of made it its own beast was the performances and the production and the color and the production design. So
I'm actually just going back to your point about the availability. I'm actually looking on eBay right now in Ireland, and the cost of a Silent Hill 1 on the PSX ranges anywhere from €20 to €60 to nearly €200.
yeah. And that's just the original PSX Silent Hill 1. That's not even Silent Hill 2, correct?
Yeah.
Oh. God, we got up to such a cheerful note, didn't we? It started us off on such a
No, we didn't.
I was, excuse me, I was being sarcastic. Okay, I'm sorry. Do you and Vanessa have the monopoly on sarcasm on this channel?
Probably.
Well, shit. I guess I'm gonna have to license it from you guys then.
But I want to feel excited for Silent Hill 2. It's very difficult to do so.
Yeah.
I think it'll be, we won't really know until we see more gameplay, because we got like 1 second of it in the actual video.
Which I don't honestly trust to be actually real gameplay either.
Right. Okay, video that looked like that it could possibly be gameplay.
Right.
Although,
yes,
I will say this. I did laugh at that moment in the trailer where the nurse is just walking along and she suddenly gets blindsided by James with the iron.
Okay,
that was funny.
Was it just me, or did that?
I think she was confused because it was like, wait, what's Leon Kennedy doing here?
Hey, it's Vanessa. Welcome.
Hey, welcome.
Sarcasm is summoned,
people.
Is it just me, or did that animation look a little funky too?
Every animation looked funky.
Yeah,
good point.
It almost feels like they're trying to go for like a physics-based version of the way things were, where, because what
you're making me imagine like kind of like an Octodad style game.
James Sunderland is Octodad.
It would.
Yeah, that's a good point, James. You did invite this punishment to yourself.
Just so you know.
Oh my god. Now I want to make a Silent Hill mod for Octodad.
Henry, where are you?
You're welcome.
We have a PSX game jam project for you.
How can you sit there eating pizza?
Don't you want to run away with me, James? Sexy mumbling.
I mean, it would fit great with his new weird facial animations.
God, it
Yeah.
would.
Oh dear
that-
God, we're gonna have to show that meme.
That first cutscene that they recreated just really rubbed me the wrong way because of like the art direction of the placement of the shadows. Like it was purposeful that James has a blank, resigned face in the
Yeah.
original. Like at best, that man is in complete shock, and you don't. You become numb.
Yeah.
It's the face of a man who knows he's
What
gonna
he
get
did.
punished and is resigned to it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I thought you were talking about like the new one because like the new one looks like he knows exactly what he did. He's not having any memory issues. He looks like he just killed somebody and he's washing his hands to wash off the guilt. Which is not something you're not supposed to know that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Beverly just said, you're not supposed to know that.
and
Look,
exactly
look,
that's
James never spilled any blood. It was pillow. It was all smotherings.
Yeah, but it was with his hands.
it's that's the other problem I also have with this trailer. And that you mentioned this, and I'm glad this finally helped me find the words for it. This is a trailer that's not made for new fans. This is a trailer for someone who's played Silent Hill 2 and knows exactly what the ending is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is not going to surprise anyone.
Yeah.
This is like if you're like we're all in our 30s, but imagine like if you're a teenager now, you've never played Silent Hill 2, and you're kind of like going, "What's all this about?"
Yeah.
Whereas we're going, I understood that reference. I understood that reference. I
Yeah,
understood that reference.
This is
I know what scenes they're doing. Yes.
oh my
I get
God,
it.
this is the Member Berries version of Silent Hill 2. God damn.
I mean, there's also a fair amount of people in their 20s and even some people in their early 30s that just missed out on it.
Yep.
And it
We
is
don't talk
not.
about that.
It's yeah, but I mean, to be fair, it's not an easy game to get a hold of.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before you popped in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
it is another issue, but like everything seems overwrought.
Yep.
In the acting.
The
It's like I have to emote. I thought I needed you, but I to punish me, but I don't need you anymore. It's like, okay, dude, calm down.
Yeah, I'm actually just back on eBay there because Vanessa reminded me to look for 20 or so listings. I'm seeing maybe 4 or 5 for Silent Hill 2. They're a minimum €50
wow.
Oof.
for the PS2.
Yep. The other because like we're gonna get into comparison eventually, and so it's good I think to bring this up now. First of all, James Sunderland looks like Leon fucking Kennedy. Let's be real
He
here.
does. He really does.
Secondly,
But, like,
Leon Kennedy
but-
with a severe meth addiction.
But Beverly and I have been describing it as Wish.com Leon. Dollar Tree Leon.
Dollar Tree Leon.
She
Think it
likes
would say-
Dollar Tree Leon more.
I think I call him at one stage Sweatshop Leon.
Fine.
The thing
Knockoff Leon.
the reason I bring this up is because, you know, we're talking about new fans coming to the franchise. Think of how good that E3 Resident Evil 2 remake reveal was. Like, we knew where it was going, but it was such that just that little scene. There's a little PlayStation. I remember I was sitting on my own and I was like jumping on my and like, you know, tapping my feet on the floor, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like this is it, isn't it? Oh my God. And
I remember that feeling. I was watching it with Beverly.
But that also was a great introduction for people who had never had any familiarity with the story and the characters of the franchise, because it clearly figured out from an art direction, from a directing and writing standpoint, and the way it's framed as a cutscene, how do we introduce Leon Kennedy as if he was a brand new, iconic kind of, we're trying to make them this iconic protagonist to a new generation. And
With a mouse.
right.
Yeah.
Versus-
But it 100% encapsulates Leon Kennedy as a character in that game, just in that one scene. Just like, what the hell is going on here? He's out of his depth, but he is capable.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we were talking. I think we were
Like
chatting
he's capable, but he's
when the trailer was on, and at one stage I was going like, "Oh, this is a mouse simulator." Nope, Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah, I was not in the group chats for that at the time, but I was definitely, yeah, because I watched that trailer on my own because I was just, I had a good feeling that day that something cool was going to happen, and I was right. But
I kept being like, no way, that game can't actually be happening.
yep.
We've been waiting years and years. It's not actually happening. And then the trailer, and I was like, well, shit.
Mm-hmm.
It is alive.
We do it.
Well, so I looked on the US side of eBay, and if I wanted to make some money, I could sell off my Silent Hill collection.
Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it!
No,
Do
no,
it!
no.
Like,
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
No, I'm not. But like
Don't be like
with
me.
complete with
It's not like
case, over $100 for Silent Hill 2.
Wow.
If Silent Hill 3 with the soundtrack, which is the one that I have, is like 150 or more,
Yeah,
and
I
then
have that one
Silent
too.
Hill 4 is about $100 as well. So
Jeez.
yeah, for the original discs.
That's outrageous.
It is. And so coming back to Silent Hill 2 and this remake and what they're trying to do with this character and trying to do with this, one of the things that also got me about the original Silent Hill 2 was it felt incredibly fresh at its time. And part of it was, we've discussed that Silent Hill is a franchise that is best described as Western horror, both literature and cinema, interpreted by Japanese horror developers and horror fans.
Yeah.
And that what I love about Silent Hill 2 is it doesn't just encapsulate homages to horror films or traditional horror films, but moody, darker stories of, in the case of Silent Hill 2, Solaris and Stalker, two Andrei Tarkovsky movies. Now, Solaris obviously is a Vladimir Lem novel, but I mean, basically the plot of guy goes to a place, a vision, and it's sort of alive and it gives him a vision of his dead wife. That's all from Solaris, is my understanding. And the fact that this is so
yes, can confirm, by the way.
yeah,
Solaris is a fantastic film.
yeah, and unfortunately, I love Tarkovsky's movies. It's one of the 3 or 4 I still need to see, that I really, really need to see. So, the point is, I feel like the inspiration in this trailer is not from that sort of literary and emotional landscape. And I really feel like that translates in the way it's presented cinematically and artistically.
It's literally a fan service trailer.
Yeah.
It is directly created that if you are a fan of the series and you see this trailer, you are going to get excited. You're going to be bouncing in your seat for joy.
That was not what I experienced during the Silent Hill 2 trailer.
No.
No, but I'm not a fan of Silent Hill.
I'm a fan of Silent Hill, and I described it as someone's nightmarish delusions brought to life.
Yeah, let's see. We actually have our little group chat here talking about this from last week. Let's see.
It's oh god, oh.
That's basically what it was.
Awful. Hate it. Want to die now.
Let's see.
New Hat Mendes.
Yeah.
No, wait. Sorry.
We want to move on a little bit from that one, Vanessa.
I love New Hat Mendes, though.
So speaking of moving on, because we are under a slight time crunch here, let's move on to the far more intriguing Silent Hill Townfall by No Code, who made the fantastic Stories Untold.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is one more thing I wanted to say about James's face, and that is that I'm sad that James' face that he makes with the news.
I said this earlier, I'll say it again. James looks like he's been on meth for about a decade.
He's like, all I hear is strong set, and I was like, what? That James.
Yep.
But yeah,
I was
Townfall.
playing Connect 4.
Townfall. I'm kind of interested in that because I really loved Stories Untold.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I what I love is that was a game that was able to even break through your usual, like, it worked because it breaks through the usual cynicism of the ending that it has, because it's a very common ending you have for those types of indie horror games, but the way it gets you there is so fucking good.
I'm
Yeah, I
very
mean, like,
curious about what kind of game it's going to be. Like
Mm-hmm.
Right.
how like is it more of like a third person survival horror? Is it more just a puzzle solving kind of thing? Like just a general, what genre are we actually going for here, gameplay wise?
I would not suspect a third person thing based on what they did for observation and stories untold. I would suspect more like and especially because it's Annapurna publishing it,
Okay.
they don't really do that.
yeah, I kind of imagine it's going to be a puzzle game. And honestly, I'd say if it was like Stories Untold, I would love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
that
sure.
that sort of like episodic nature where it's like you have like a chunk of a big piece of the puzzle starts to come together in one chapter, then it adds into this next chapter that's very different. And because that's also one thing, coming back to Silent Hill, we don't talk enough about how one of its strengths is the puzzles are really esoteric, and they're very cool that way. And I feel like No Code is one of the few developers I would trust to make an engaging and enjoyable esoteric puzzle game.
Yeah, I'm definitely for a good esoteric puzzle situation.
We're all just thinking of the bookshop puzzle from one of the Silent Hill games, aren't we?
That was from 3 and on hard
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah, there is though
I mean, in general, 2's puzzles were actually very good.
yeah, the coin puzzle still trips me up a few times, but like it's not the piano puzzle in 1, it's not the bookstore one in 3. 4 didn't really have the kind of puzzles.
It didn't have puzzles.
Yeah, it was really more exploration and combat. Yeah,
It had. Do you remember to bring chocolate milk with you to give it to Jasper?
yeah, it's inventory object puzzles. It's more like a point and click game in that regard. Actually, God,
Yeah.
Did you forget it? Go back and get it.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Go back to your apartment and get it.
So there are so little details about Townfall at the moment.
Yeah.
It's one of the games I'm more excited about.
yeah.
Yep.
I'd say I'm slightly more excited for Silent Hill F, but that's because Beverly has she has knowledge of like the writer's previous work,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
is like, oh yeah, no, they are perfectly suited for this kind of universe to tell a story in.
I just hope that, so this is kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but I'm just hoping that the story, I mean, with him at the helm, it's going to be great, but can the developer
Live up to the trailer.
yes, exactly, live up to that and
It's-
actually make a good game.
It's Neo boards, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't actually hate Resistance. I think that if they'd been given more time to actually and money to continue supporting it, they would have been fine, because
Yeah.
there was a lot of good bones in there, and it just needed continue balancing tweaks. But like, it was clear that those were people who genuinely appreciated and liked the series, and I think that that's, if they have that same kind of passion for Silent Hill, I think they're probably going to be fine, because they don't have to balance it for multiplayer.
Yeah, because that's the main issue with Resident Evil Resistance. I always keep coming back to is it's very fun for the most part, but God, the balance was and that was actually, if I recall, was the problem when they abandoned it. They kind of were sort of forced by budgetary,
Yeah,
cuts.
they were.
They just
Yeah.
had to. They didn't have the time to finish the balancing on that last patch, and so it was like, okay, we got to
I
ship
felt
it.
really bad. Yeah, I felt really bad for them because there was I played it a bunch, actually, all things considered. Like more than I ever thought I was going to. Because it
Vanessa,
was just kind of it was just kind of like quick horror fun most of the time.
you mentioned a bit ago that it's not that Silent Hill F is not multiplayer, but Konami might throw a curveball at you.
Well, that sounds like Konami.
Mm-hmm.
And you went down at me earlier, Rick, about bringing down the mood.
All I heard from them saying was just that it was taking place in Japan in the 1960s. So
Yep.
Yeah,
Uh,
details
Yep.
are sparse, but
so
Yeah.
I thought Ascension was the one that was multiplayer
I was
because of the
gonna,
whole,
yeah, I was gonna bring that
Yeah.
up. The whole
Yeah,
social
I think it's
media
gonna be,
thing.
which
which
checked out entirely.
yeah, I cannot see that lasting more than 6 months.
I give it 3. I seriously just
I
give it
don't.
3.
Do you think it's even?
Place your
I
bets.
think it sounds to me like it's like a limited like thing.
I don't
If
know.
if
Like
it
a
keeps going, I imagine it's going to be seasons, like a new storyline every season.
Possibly.
right.
Which conceptually is cool, but at the same time, that
But
also.
the canon of the Silent Hill series. No, no, I will not.
uh,
But
I would be
yeah,
interested to. I'm interested to just see what it is because it's. I think it's some. I think it's gonna be like a live action thing. If Bad Robot is part of it, or maybe it's like a CG thing.
Oh, it's just gonna
it's
have
okay.
a
It's
big.
okay.
It's gonna have a big mist, a dark mist monster, and have no ending.
You know
It's
what it'll
even
probably
remotely
be.
satisfying.
It'll turn into a Cloverfield Paradox movie.
I was just gonna say, it turns out it was purgatory all along.
No. It's going to end with them having dinner and going to suddenly cut the black.
I love that we basically just threw out 4 different memes, most of which were about Bad Robot. I think all about Bad Robot, and they are all some form of accurate.
But
I,
just going back
honestly,
to Silent Hill F,
Yes.
I'm going to feel sorry for any tripophobes out there.
Oh yeah,
I'm rewatching the video, and I just got to the bit where the holes start opening up in the body parts in the river, and
yeah.
oh my god.
I have a friend who I think I have multiple friends who have that issue, and it was like I was warning them. I'm like, okay, so here you go. Like, it looks like a really good game, but if you have since you have that, you're going to probably want to skip that part.
Yep.
And it's a big
Yes.
chunk of the trailer because it's so short.
Well, it's like if you just at least it's in like the last portion, so it's like watch to that point, and then just like you could like timestamp it for somebody.
I will say this as well. It's definitely one of the more horrific trailers.
Oh yeah.
I really liked the tone and the new take on the original Silent Hill theme. I thought was just really well done.
I was going to mention that too. That's so good.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It also, I love that I think what excites me about it is it's so boldly going into new territory. We're leaving the country, we're going to a different culture, a different time period, and it is just jumping completely into that. And getting Silent Hill away from this sort of SH2 bubble and the whole, the cult, the order, etc., I think it's going to be extremely healthy for the story.
Yeah, the weird
How
thing
many
is like
times?
they
Go on.
kept talking about like making other games like Silent Hill 2, but they only ever did that in terms of just a shocking twist, not anything else about Silent Hill 2, not unrelated people just, really having their issues. I mean, I guess Downpour sort of, but it was very sloppily done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Origins is just literally Origins of Silent Hill.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Among other things.
I mean, a lot of confusing things.
Looking at you, giant boxing gloves.
Well, that was
Travis, why am I here? Why am I walking like this?
ding, ding. We're almost there.
Why are we walking?
Baby back ribs.
Oh god.
That's still correct.
But yeah, so last thing I guess to just talk about the showcase. This is less of a gaming thing and more a movie thing. I'm happy for Christoph Gans getting to finally do Silent Hill 2 because that is what he pitched initially. And if he had done that in 2006, I think we would have honestly have had a better Silent Hill movie, in my opinion. Because he clearly did not want to tell the story of Harry Mason.
Clearly did not. His emotions are too feminine.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's sexist as hell.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
I'm
kill
sorry.
Sean Bean, but I'm contractually not allowed.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. You think that a man cannot care about his kid and go through hell for them like that? Like,
Yep.
come on, dude.
I mean,
Let's face it, a good father would go through hell for their kid
Yeah.
and not care. It's just like, my kid's in danger.
I'm
scared Satan a new asshole.
Yeah, like I don't care what's in my way. I am going to rip them apart. My kid's missing. Like, Harry's a very relatable person because he is really a very average guy who just is trying to make sure his daughter is safe.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's very sad that someone can't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then was like, I have to make that a female, like a woman, because that's a feminine emotion, and also then I can backwards explain my tagline of "Mother is God in the eyes of a child" because I'm really attached to that for some reason.
Yeah.
But oh no, now the studio says there are many dudes in our movie. Well, better put in a dude. Gee,
and let's be honest.
Wish you'd had a dude.
The first Silent Hill film did not treat women very well.
No.
Not really. No,
not really.
If you want proof of like an older father wouldn't go through hell for their kids, Taken.
Oh yeah, well, Taken for sure, and even within other films from the of the genre. I mean, you look at The Mist and all the things that he does the dad does to keep his kid safe, which again is in the book and written by a dad who cares a lot about his kids. So yeah. I think it just makes a lot of, I'm not going to say anything bad about the dude himself. It's I had a lot of issues with his film. I think it's still better than the second one. I think MJ Bassett did a much less engaging movie with...
It's okay, Rick. Yeah, Silent Hill 2 Revelations can't hurt you anymore.
But I'm angrier at it.
Oh, it hurt me back in the day.
All I hear is how many people say, it's actually a good movie. It's actually a good video game movie. It's not bad. Nobody says that about the second. So then I end up just liking the second because nobody cares about it. It's not a good movie and everyone hates it. So I can just go, yeah, fine, that piece of crap, right? But then, like, you say Silent Hill 1 and people are like, it's still good. And I'm like, no, it fucking isn't.
Look, can we just agree that Rampage is the best video game movie that's been made in the last 15 years?
I haven't seen it.
No.
I still have it, but it's still in the wrap.
It's really good, dude. I think you'd love it. You should watch it. Paul, you should watch that.
The thing is, like, it's been on so many trailers and it was so marketed around the time that's just like,
yeah.
I want to watch it, but it's also, but I don't.
I totally get that.
But anyway, so we'll see how that turns out. I mean, we'll see if it even gets shot because, I mean, they have a lot of great production design, or at the very least, they have a lot of storyboards and production art that's been completed. They showed quite a few images that, it's more than like some people's Kickstarters that become successful do. So it's probably, going to be, we'll see.
Did not care for the Lakeview Hotel looking like the Overlook.
Yeah, be prepared for The Shining to continue dominating all of horror media in the West, which is Yeah, but that's a whole other discussion.
I
Okay,
think it'd be the Shinin.
It's like,
so
just you want to get sued?
okay, so
Don't worry, lad. I'll save you. Oh,
so
I'm really bad at this.
so
Oh, I hope
moving
that
on.
rug was scotch guarded.
So now that we move on from, is there any last notes we want to make about Silent Hill? Because we should probably jump into Resident Evil. There's not as much to talk about with Resident Evil, but there's also a lot to talk about Resident Evil. So,
There is something I want to say about the showcase itself, but I'll say it after Resident Evil.
okay.
Fuck BLOOBER team.
Oh, we did that a bunch. Yeah, we said that a whole
Well,
bunch.
that's my own personal take on it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's good.
But I'm glad that there's at least other games that I can look forward to.
Yep. Yeah. So then Resident Evil. Now I'm still kind of catching up on this one a bit because I was at work at the time this one went live. So we have the Winters DLC, we have the revival of Reverse, and we have Resident Evil 4 Remake as the main core things, as well as the expansions of the cloud streaming ports to the Switch and things of that nature. So, general thoughts. How do we feel?
Winter's DLC, yay. RE-verse, no. RE4,
care.
yay.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Paul. I also will make a quick note just so I don't forget about it. I hope that they continue doing these Resident Evil showcases with the Duke as the narrator in like this kind of story thing moving forward,
Yes.
regardless of whether he's in the next games or not. I don't care. Just
Yeah.
have the Duke do that, and it's awesome.
He's just the narrator now.
Yeah, he's great, and I hear the voice actor is a really sweet dude too, because I know he's been on Nikki Thompson's streams a few times.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
follow him
I
on
do.
Twitter, and he's always just kind of like, hey, I'm doing a stream where I'm signing like lots of autographs for charity. Come join us.
That's awesome. So speaking of Village and the Duke and things like that, we have the third person mode and the Rose DLC and all of that. So I haven't had a chance to try the demo yet in third person, but I have a suspicion I would like to do Village third person as our main playthrough for the channel, to be honest.
Intriguing. And I would like to subscribe to your newsletter.
Right after I did a playthrough.
Well, yeah, it's not that we didn't have fun. You had a good time. We had a good time, but we didn't have the cutscenes. We didn't see the hand get chopped off. We didn't, there was a lot of cutscenes we missed. And not to
So
mention,
let's just play through it and get the cutscenes.
You mean Lady D stepping on you?
yeah, maybe.
Dude, we don't care what your kink is.
Yeah, that's true. That is between me and Lisa. So anyway,
The internet's kink. I mean, at this point, come on.
yeah, true.
Look. Still, I'm for doing it again from a different perspective with everything.
But
it's like more stuff.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to point out though about Lady D chopping your hand off, if you actually put down mines at regular intervals, you can tell how far away she is from you when they bring her in.
Oh, that's cool. I love that.
Nice.
The Rose DLC looks very promising. Shadows of Rose. I'm very intrigued that it also seems to be expanding on the aspect of kind of the mental landscape that was established in 7 and really exploring what that can do for the Resident Evil and the Biohazard franchise. I think it's very cool.
Yep.
Agreed.
The other thing I'm also kind of curious about is just like, what are the implications of it for the story? Because we're still wondering, like, is Resident Evil 9 going to continue at that 16-year plus point? 16 years from, like, say, 2021. So
No, I
don't think so.
I'd say 9 is going to be somewhere in between.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking Shadows of Rose is meant to close out like the Winters family storyline, and then 9 is possibly going to continue the BSAA done fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but does 9 take place in between Or
Yeah.
we kind of talked about this a little at the end of the 8 playthrough, but like, does 9, is it when Rose is still,
A baby.
or does it jump 16 years?
Yeah, and let's just point out as well that if you were to have Chris back at any point, he would not be as a playable character. The man would be pushing nearly 70
Yeah.
by the end of Shadows of Rose.
I imagine that RE9 will probably take place around like within the year that it's released, because the last several games have done that.
Mm-hmm. I think even Resident Evil 5 did that too, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
because it was released in
I think going back
2009.
to 4, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
they
you're correct.
tried to keep it contemporary.
Yep. Which is easy to do when your franchise is full of a bunch of sci-fi bullshit anyway.
But they do age the
Monster
characters as
nonsense.
well.
Yeah, I think, and which I think helps. I think is a healthy thing to do, because it's allowed us through the years to grow with these characters, and I think that's why we see such a desire to see certain characters come back, like Claire and Jill, and etc. Because like we don't know we haven't visited Jill since 9. Oh, sorry, since 5, right? 2009.
Yeah, we haven't seen Jill in a game since that.
Yeah.
That was her last actual physical appearance, and she just only has like a mention in an email in Revelations 2.
Yep. So, I know a lot of you are not interested in Reverse. I personally am, because I enjoyed the beta, despite myself. But I am thrilled to see it is alive. It is going to continue to be a thing. I do hope the balancing is going to work okay, because the balancing was pretty good in the beta. The only thing I noticed was that the Claire's special ability, her stun ability, was pretty OP. It didn't have much of a cooldown time, and you basically became completely vulnerable. So that was my only concern.
Go, Claire. Go, Claire.
You're just saying that because we have Clara Roseword in our Cthulhu game, aren't you?
Partially. I also just really like Claire.
I do also love Claire, so it is fair.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we'll get to see all this on the 28th, and I will be hopefully streaming a little bit of Reverse at some point around then. I don't know. This month has been crazy for me month-wise, so
Yeah, actually, before we finish up though, so some news about the third person mode.
Hmm?
You
Oh,
still cannot
man.
see Ethan's face.
Nope.
I understand that they want to be committed to the bit, but I am so fucking tired of it.
Same.
But I think they're keeping that reveal, and I'm doing this in inverted commas. It's going to be for Shadow of Rose.
Ah, that's probably a good point.
I guarantee at some point, Ethan or Rose are going to have a conversation in the mental landscape.
Okay, I can see that.
If they do that, then it's worth it. But if they pull the end of RE Village again with him in a cutscene format, then it is not worth it. And just let us see the man's fucking face. He's dead. Just come on.
Yeah, man. We want to have the open casket funeral for this poor guy.
I mean, we're not going to have it because he was like
exploded. I know.
Obliterated.
Yeah.
Super exploded.
Exploded. But
well, actually, I'd say he was more like pillar salted and then exploded.
Yeah.
Double dead.
Double dead.
So
actually, no, wait, he's triple dead because he was already dead.
Oh, right.
A man who died not once, not twice, but thrice.
All right, so
it just shows how diehard he is.
Oh, that's right. There's exploding cow. I'm now looking through the Resident Evil 4 stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Resident Evil 4, exploding cow.
Beverly and I like freaked out at that moment because we were like, Leon, how could you? You've committed cow murder. Cowson, as in like cow arson, and mine was bovinicide.
Who wants
seriously, what did that poor cow do to Leon?
Who wants flash fried steak?
No!
It's seared in its own juices.
Oh.
As well as the kerosene.
Yes.
But I think the main takeaways from Resident Evil 4, the return of the merchant, yay.
Yes,
yay.
Very good.
The knife is the one Marvin gives you at the start of Resident Evil 2.
Oh, I have not been able to watch a lot of this with
Oh.
audio. Is that the case?
It shows up very briefly on the inventory management screen.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I love that.
That's cool.
Also, parrying the chainsaw.
Yeah, that is insane. It's insane. That, and I know there's some folks that are arguing over, it's like, oh, you let the boulder punching asshole get away with stuff, but you don't want to parry with a knife. Like, where do you draw the line? Like, I'll accept them both as they are, basically.
Look, I heard somebody try to justify Chris punching the boulder with it was pumice in the volcano. It's a very light stone.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Whoa, man. That's, I mean, are you Mr. Fantastic? Because boy, that's a stretch.
Wasn't my theory.
No. I was saying about the person, not about you personally.
Yeah. I know, I'm messing with. But look, this is a game where zombies, parasites, and mold are very real global threats. Do you really want to get caught up on a guy punching a rock or a guy blocking a chainsaw with a knife?
I used to, not anymore. That's my answer to that.
Also, you could upgrade the knife.
I love that too. That's fantastic. We've desperately needed that as a system in these new games because the knife has become so much more useful recently. But yeah, so what are we thinking regarding Resident Evil 4? And I know Vanessa's going to have a lot to say about this, but like, and we'll probably save these thoughts, I think, in some regard for later. But this was our first really serious look at the gameplay and all that. How do we feel?
I'm excited.
I mean, really, yeah, same. They haven't done wrong with the remakes yet. I mean, you can argue Resident Evil 3 in some regard, but
No, they did
we all
Resident Evil 3
enjoy it.
wrong.
Huh?
No, I was just saying they didn't do Resident Evil 3 wrong. They did wrong to it.
Oh, gotcha.
Wanted that clock
Yeah.
tower.
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is that Resident Evil 3 as a game is very competent. It's just whether you agree with decisions that were made or not,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and finish. I have something to mention after.
yeah, I was just gonna say that, like, I don't have any reservations about Resident Evil 4 Remake being good. It's going to be a good game. It's just, there's like no doubt about it based on what they've released recently.
Yep. Yeah, it's good stuff. I agree. I agree very much so. I think I did not have much of a thrill of the. I guess I wasn't excited about a Resident Evil 4 remake for multiple reasons. Most of which is I want a Code Veronica remake more, and I still do.
Yes, agreed.
But
Well, the thing with the Code Veronica remake is if they send the people who are making the fan remake, if they tell them, take it down, give them a cease and desist letter, that's when you know they're working on a Code Veronica remake.
yeah,
Right.
but the thing that I'm feeling though is Resident Evil 4 is a contentious title for me for multiple reasons. I do not like a lot of the things that it was known for. So seeing this being good and being fun and being this is more in line with where I wanted to see Resident Evil 4 be as time went on. Which is to say, when I first played Resident Evil 4, I was expecting it to be terrible, back in 2005, and I was blown away by like, wow, this actually really works, and this is not what I expected it. And over time, the flaws became more evident, just as we've understood a lot of Mikami's own bullshit design choices, and just, those things just don't age very well for me. And I feel like with this remake, they're taking the things I like about Resident Evil 4 and then adding more of the stuff I liked from 1, 2, and 3, and especially from the recent remakes, and integrating that even further. There is a sense of the sense of impact and design and action and tension. And I think that's even the thing. The action is being sourced from tension, not just theatrics and fireworks, which is what ends up happening too often, I think, with Resident Evil 4 and with the Parasite trilogy in general. So I'm very excited to see what they do with this. And I think it looks really good. And I love what I'm seeing of the updates to the story. And yes, I looked it up. And combat knife, I posted a picture. A weapon suited for close encounters. It has been Leon's go-to since receiving it during his time at the RPD. Wow.
Now, something I want to point out from when we saw the trailer Thursday night. When Leon blocks the chainsaw, very, very briefly, you can see in the corner the knife icon glows red,
Mm-hmm.
which indicates the knife can break. I've seen pictures of the knife upgrade page. You will be able to repair the knife and increase its durability.
That's a nice touch. I like that.
So it's going to take elements from Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. You're going to have the one knife, but it can break.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I like.
Indeed. Also, how are we feeling on the Skull Shaker deluxe weapon?
I have the Terminator 2 theme going through my head now. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
But yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah. It looks like we kind of lost Vanessa for a little bit there. Yeah, so we'll probably have to wrap up in a second, but ultimately, I'm happy to see that Resident Evil continues apace. It's as in, there's been some serious ups and downs with the franchise over the last, 25 plus years now, but
Since its inception.
that was the joke. The seeing them get their footing back really, I think, with 7 and continuing this streak has been a delight. And I'm very excited to see where it goes from here. And the only thing I will say negatively about Resident Evil 4 is I am excited to just see something new, because again, Resident Evil 4 is something that I have had injected into my veins visually through so many different social media fandoms that I'd like to see something new. That's the only catch. Anyway,
We've had this for 17 years.
Yeah.
But what I'll say about the two showcases in general, I was talking to a friend about this, and I respect their opinion. I'm not going to disparage them because it's okay to have an opinion into that. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. But he was very excited for Silent Hill, and was like, "That's fair enough." But then he was kind of going on about Resident Evil, Capcom should have done better. And I was thinking to myself, they didn't need to. Since 2017, Capcom have had a wildly successful Resident Evil game every year.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to have a big song and dance about what's coming up. They did what they wanted to. They came in, they showed off the new material, and that was it. Konami, on the other hand, the last Silent Hill game they made was 10 years ago. The last big success they had was mired in controversy, as has the company for the last several years. Konami needed a big showstopper event. And, fair enough, they did that. But at the same time, I was more excited for Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all, it is all a matter of, taste and opinion and things of that nature. But I think definitely the comparison to be made here is very much a case, as you said, I think you perfectly stated, there is a company that has something to prove and a company that doesn't have anything to prove. And because,
It's already proven it.
Exactly. And it's not only has it proven it, it's proven it like 5 times in the last 7 years. So, and in general, like Capcom financially is doing fantastic. They are, and just most of the I mean, I hate to use the word IP or the term, but to use the term IP, but Monster Hunter's been doing better than ever. Resident Evil has been incredibly widespread and successful, and Street Fighter is going to probably come back stronger than it has in probably since Street Fighter 4 with SF6 next year. I mean, it's a very good time for Capcom. So their showcase can be a little slower, a little artsier, little, what have you. The fact the scope of the Silent Hill showcase was what it was I found to be very surprising. And
Yeah,
and for yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, wait, there.
Welcome back.
we think.
Maybe.
Sorry, I had to step out because I realized we were out of video.
Oh no.
Ah.
Fair enough. Okay, your thoughts on the RE4 trailer, Vanessa?
Actually, really good. Like, each one kind of still ends up being better than I expected it to be. They're making Leon actually feel
Competent?
competent, but like emotionally present, which never came across in the original. It was just all like, here's cardboard cutout one-liner man.
Right.
Who's gonna just suplex everybody?
Although we are excited that the suplexes are back, as well as the spin kicks.
Mm-hmm.
They showed the suplex because I only saw the spin kick.
I would imagine they're not just going to have the spin kick. You'll have the suplex at some stage.
I wouldn't mind seeing
Here's hoping.
I hate the suplex. It's stupid.
the suplex. I would be happy with if they did it like the window jump being as a cutscene.
Mm-hmm. I actually really, really appreciated that entire sequence and how it gave an actual real context to him doing that instead of, well, I went to the top floor, time to yeet myself out the window.
Yeah, I'll admit, I was one of those people that I couldn't leave the front door. Had to jump out the window.
Right. Yeah. It's like, what are you, Bill Reiser from Contra Shattered Soldier here?
Why couldn't he go out the front door in the original?
Yeah. It also brings to mind something that's also very.
Oh my god.
What happened?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You'll see in a second.
Okay. The feeling that I have also with the tone they're setting for this new take is action built out of, as I said before, out of tension, out of suspense, out of danger. It is about being surrounded and then surmounting that the numbers game, basically. And the added elements that clearly seem to be there of stealth, of the parry mechanics, add some really interesting development, or I should say, gameplay meta that I'm really interested to see how that turns out. Because
it does fit in with Leon's training.
It does. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It feels like a more natural extension of it as opposed to what it was in the original.
Mm-hmm. Because, let's be real. The original the original game was basically Gymkata. It was basically, we're going to send this guy to a European country and he's going to rescue a thing or do a thing for the country. And
are you a bad enough dude to save the president's daughter?
Basically, yeah. And because
No.
if you watch Gymkata, is a blonde-haired, athletic, kind of superhero, James Bond wannabe character who is an Olympian hired to be a spy by the U.S. government to go take part in a God no.
I fucking hate AI art so much.
Sorry,
so
Rick just
so much.
Okay, oh no, Rick, you hit
so much.
You just hit the
run.
You hit the
Rick.
berserk button. Oh God, no.
I'm not gonna hold Vanessa back.
Nothing can contain the art Hulk.
But but I love though that it is doing this from a horror movie perspective and not a spy movie perspective, which is what it felt like Mikami was ended up going with in Resident Evil 4. It makes a lot of sense that all those different cycles of Resident Evil 4 development, one of them ended up being Devil May Cry. It does not surprise me at all because they clearly wanted to do something different. And here, these are developers that want to do something that is evolution, but not revolution, as it completely changes the franchise.
Look, the one thing I don't want to happen in the remake is you walk 5 steps, you get attacked by a group of Ganados. You deal with them, you walk another 5 steps. Oh, look, another group of Ganados. You deal with them, walk 5 steps. Oh, a special.
Special Ganado.
Yeah, special Ganado. Yeah, you cut out for a sec there. Sorry, dude.
Actually, what I really liked from
Special
what I
Ganado.
heard of like the demo was the amount of time it took just to get to that first house.
Yeah.
That like they really took their time setting the pace and like setting the tone with like these creepy woods, and then the whole idea of the first encounter being a guy who Leon's trying to talk to, but they immediately become aggressive, and he kicks them and breaks their neck.
Yeah.
And he's like,
It's-
"Oh shit."
It's the original version of the game was just basically crazy American goes to a foreign country and tears shit up.
Does not speak the language, comes into a guy's house without knocking, shoves a picture of a girl in his face and goes, hey, hello, have you seen her? Huh?
It's like, hey,
I'm sorry, I guess
excuse
you don't
me, did
speak
you-
English.
did you dirty savages happen to kidnap this girl anytime recently?
This blonde-haired,
There's a-
blue-eyed girl
Mm-hmm.
from America.
There's a whole list of things I want to talk about that I have problems with for Resident Evil 4, and I'm not going to get into them here.
Yeah.
I think it's worth getting into once the game comes out, because we'll be able to see the entire way that the remake handles it. But like, I really appreciated that the guy comes back at Leon in the basement and his neck is broken.
Mm-hmm.
That was far more unsettling than anything they did in the original.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tentacles were just like very barely snaking out of that guy's neck hole.
Yeah, it's oh, I love that touch.
It's creepy as fuck. It's really well done. Also, Dr. Salvador has like a new detail that he has no eyelids.
Yes. Oh, there's so many good little touches like that. Yeah. Like even
Like, wow,
yeah.
that's a small thing, but it really changes the character's presence.
Like the Verdugo next to Salazar, getting to see how fucking huge their hands are and using Salazar for scale makes them far more intimidating to me now as well.
I want Salazar used for scale now. This
Look, he's got a very
this
big
character is
opinion
how
on
many
himself.
Salazars tall.
Well, it's like, you know, it's like when you're measuring, you're trying to show how big a little a mini you're getting off of Etsy is, and you put a quarter next to it or a D20.
It's just measurements of Salazar.
Yeah, Salazar. You know, I mean, like, you gotta admit, everything that seems to be going on with the changes to his character, it's coming along like clockwork.
It does make sense. I actually think the wig works for him.
Oh yeah.
And they make him legitimately look old now, so all of like the jokes about him being like this tiny old man would actually make sense.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious how this new version of Leon's going to react to finding out about the truth of, you know, how he's going to respond to Salazar. To be honest, I'm curious. And that is that's Nick, right?
It's like,
Apostolides.
hello? What?
Yeah,
It's definitely him.
Cool.
I would love it if it came out to be like in between Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4. Leon had just turned into a blonde version of Carlos, and he just goes, "Hey, that's a weird fucking kid."
That's a weird fucking kid. Again, I will stand by it till the day I die. Leon Kennedy is not blonde. Till the day I die. That
He's-
man is not blonde.
Oh, I think
James Sunderland, blonde. Leon Kennedy, at best, like light
Brown hair.
yeah. Paul, didn't we see a chat about this regarding fan casting Leon as Jensen Ackles and one of the other Discords we're in?
No,
Yeah, like
no, he's
years ago,
Chris
but I don't think it
Redfield.
worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Redfield in his 30s or 40s.
Yeah,
I can't see him as Leon in his 20s.
no.
Not happening. Anyway, so regarding Resident Evil 4, because I know we got to get going. We've all got stuff to do. I have to get moving along. So I'm willing to let this record for a little longer. But what else is there that are takeaways from the trailer from a gameplay or a story perspective that are impressing you or surprising you in ways you didn't expect?
I was genuinely impressed that the demo showed the first area, like the village, the big village scene, and it more or less is playing out like the original, but the way that it progresses and the tone that it has still comes across so much more horrific and so much scarier than the original. And that's really impressive to me.
Yes.
Yeah, you got the backdrop of that guy burning at the stake right behind you as the villagers attack.
Mm-hmm. Which feels more present than it did in the original. It was there, but it was, because like there's that setup of him looking through the goggles, but here it's really like it is a focal landmark that all this combat is sort of central to.
I was watching a video that was like breaking down the demo from people who had played it, and they said in their version the guy was still alive when he was lit on fire.
Oh,
yeah.
God, I hope that's the case. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, maybe it's dependent, like maybe they're still deciding, or maybe it's dependent on how long it takes you to get to that spot.
I would imagine like it's time dependent.
My also feeling is going to be it might be a ratings thing, because in Japan they may have more difficulty with something like that.
Also possible, but like either way, that's still really grounds you in the horror of the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's also something when we talk about Resident Evil 4 in general, one of the tragic things, and we discussed this, I think, on the podcast at one point, is the sense of sorrow and tragedy that this town of just humble little, essentially, folks living out in the rural woods have lost all their humanity.
Regular people who, again, get taken in by another, like, religious figure and lose their humanity because of it.
Yeah.
Not just their humanity, everything. They lose their kids.
Oh, yeah.
They lose their kids. Yeah, they lose their kids first, which I hope that they include that in the game proper and not as some, one-off little sketch at the credit sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, way to backload your horror.
Yeah.
Like, that's legitimate.
All the horror into that. The people turn the game off already.
All that horror when people have already turned the game off. Yep. Like, it's right there. You have to just let us know about it in game. It's like it's really sad. And it also reinforces that Europe, not a place to go in the Resident Evil universe.
No. Yeah,
I'm wondering how much of the goofiness they're going to bring back from the original game, especially in like the castle area.
I think, Rick, what you're really saying is you really hope they bring back the giant doll of Salazar.
I hope it's exploded at the bottom of a ravine, and the cut, like a quick cut to it, is all we get. I used to have a giant clockwork version of myself. It exploded and ended up at the bottom of a ravine.
And you're also saying you want the lava room to come back.
No.
I hate that fucking room.
For reference, for folks out there that are not within our friend circle, Rick had actually forgotten about this, and I had to remind him of this about 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
I actually do genuinely
Why are you
apologize for
so
that.
cruel, Chris? Why are
I
you so
thought he
cruel?
knew, so I mentioned it, and I mentioned it's the fucking lava room, and Rick was just like, "What are you talking about? I don't." It's like it wasn't that crazy, and it's like, buddy, you don't remember?
What? It's
What
Mount
about
Doom.
what about the roller coaster in the castle?
Oh
I was
God!
just going to mention the roller coaster that takes you to an identical castle. Like was it made by George Trevor to make me like hate him more? Is that it?
We're gonna have to do a drunk episode of this one stage, but that would also mean I have to start drinking again.
And I'd have to drink in the first place. I've never been drunk, so
Well,
I mean,
I
I
think
guess
Vanessa
I
and I
guess I
can
could-
pick
we
us
could-
up or pick up for you.
Yeah, we could pick up the slack.
Uh huh.
Anyway, but yeah, so I mean, so bringing it back to the good feelies, the good feels about all these things. We've got cow murder, we've got knife parries, we've got great.
No, it's too late. We've been reminded too much of the old Resident
No.
Evil 4.
Think about how.
It's over,
What
folks.
about Luis?
We're going.
Luis
It's
looks
my
really.
fault.
What about the Luis and Hunnigan? We get to see them. They look great. They look fantastic.
I love that Louise kind of looks like Will Forte now.
Yeah.
But he also looks kind of slimy.
Which
Yeah,
I
I
like.
think it works.
I think it works because I want to have the question for new players be, can I trust him?
Yeah,
Because he was he honestly was a bit almost too heroic feeling in the original, and then when his actions kind of went around that like heroic, persona, it just kind of made me feel weird. Like, I don't know, like this
the
isn't.
whole thing was weird.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The
And
whole game
let
was
me
weird.
let me talk about the president's daughter's tits.
Although I really hope they get more Spanish actors in for this one.
Yeah, so they can
Yeah.
actually have real Spanish, not Mexican Spanish.
Yeah, I have been told that they have fixed that, so it's now actually like Spanish. Actual Spanish,
Yeah.
not Mexican Spanish,
And
which
that's
is still
Luis-
Spanish,
that's
but
Luis's accent.
and that is Luisa's accent now.
Good.
Yeah, Beverly and her brother had a very different time playing Resident Evil 4 than I did.
I can imagine.
Hmm.
I would like to point out to
He
everyone
was a
that
Resident Evil person, so he did not realize it sucked.
But
I would sit next to him and I would translate the Ganados as he played.
hey, there he is. Let's kill that guy.
I'm going to
I would want to point out that most of
What
Europe
did he say?
actually.
I'm
does
going
want
to
to
kill
kill
you. Oh,
I just want to point out that yes, most of Europe actually does have electricity.
Yeah.
Capcom.
that always weirds me out about how they like portray these areas, because it always feels like it's like, again, we've never progressed past like the 1880s
Yeah, it's
for some reason.
because I mean, even in the films that they're referencing, like Tombs of the Blind Dead and stuff. Now, the Blind Dead movies were predominantly period pieces to begin with, but even the ones that were set in modern times, the idea was that you would see those castles or those old villages and stuff. Those were flashbacks, like in the Hammer films and stuff like that. Those were period pieces or flashback scenes. Like when Hammer went modern day with AD 1972, Dracula AD 1972, it's a modern movie. And even The Devil Rides Out is a period film set when the book was written in the 40s, in the late 40s, and or mid to late 40s, excuse me. And so, that is when it's set. So this whole like contemporary setting with the aesthetic of movies that are referencing or flashing back to the past is very bizarre. It'd be like having the guy who did The Lighthouse and the Witch, Eggers, Robert Eggers. Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, Robert Eggers, like him making a movie that looks like his other movies, but set in the modern day.
I feel like RE4 could possibly get around it by explicitly stating that it became like that over time with like Sadler's influence as like a cult thing.
Yeah.
But I don't expect them to do that, so it's just going to be like Village again, where it's just like, we just live like this, I guess.
Yeah.
Bitch, you.
We have rocket launchers, but we don't have any electricity.
Except for
We
this.
have rocket launchers in our castle.
I'm sorry, Leon, your rocket launcher is in another castle.
Okay, admittedly, there are a lot of castles, so I will let that pass.
The castle
Well, I
isn't the
mean-
problem. It's the village, because it's just like ye old and tiny village.
They have they have internal plumbing.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, any last thoughts? I think we should probably close it out. We've been at this for about an hour and a half. What do you want to?
I'm genuinely excited for it though, which is more than I can say about RE4 ever. So kudos to them.
Yeah.
At the very least, I think it'll play well. And I'm sorry, everybody else, but I do not like the original's gameplay, and I really never have.
I'm the same. I mean, like I summed it earlier with the combat. It was like, take a couple of steps, attack. Take a couple more steps, another attack.
It's take controls. It's the old system, just with a different camera angle.
I still can't believe when I remember in 2005, 2006, there were reviews of Resident Evil 4 that said, well, they finally got rid of the tank controls.
They really didn't.
Did you though?
No, they did not.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway,
people are already complaining about that. Like, I've seen people complain that, like, oh no, there's no more fight or flight, there's no more stand your ground, and like have to make those choices now. Now it's like all like mobile, and I'm like, are you kidding? Because I played the remakes of 2 and 3, and generally run and gunning still isn't that great.
Yeah, that's an intentional.
No, it's a waste of time and resources.
It is.
Yeah, it's still like, if you're in trouble and you have to run, you make the choice, but generally you're still doing the same thing. It just overall is a lot smoother and runs a lot better.
Yeah, I don't. This is what I come back to, like with not to jump onto another tangent. It's like Left 4 Dead versus Back 4 Blood. One of Back 4 Blood's biggest issues is that your guns slow you down when you shoot them. You have increased recoil, and it physically slows down the player movement speed. When you play the original Left 4 Dead, everything is liquid smooth, because even when you're shooting, because there's even that line in the opening of the game, the intro cutscene that says, where Lewis is asking, run or shoot, and Bill yells both, and then that's what they do. And that decision making of when do you choose to fight, when all this fight or flight, all those sort of reactions, that all is still happening on a micro level. It's still happening. It just may be happening and I think Vanessa, you put it the totally the right word, smoother experience of doing the same thing. It's the same thing, but smoother and more fluid. You're able to go between those states with a bit more of a kind of consistent, like rhythm's the wrong word. I guess there's a coherence between the stages. So yeah, I'm excited. The shotgun also looks really fucking good, and I love good video game shotguns. The Resident Evil 4 shotgun was one of my favorites, and this one looks to be even better.
Yeah, no, I'm legit excited, and also the extra outfits are wilder this time, and I genuinely appreciate really going for it with that.
I'm gonna go with the villain outfit.
I actually was inspired by that for work.
Nice. Oh, that's great.
I was like,
awesome.
Hey, yeah, feathers.
I kind of want to make a D&D character, an assassin or something, based on that costume.
Do it, please.
I
God,
love
do
that.
it.
I love it.
So, anyway, folks, for the third time tonight, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we'll if you liked it, let us know in the comments below. If you want us to do more little things like this in the future, we'll be doing this when we want to. As we've stated before, we've kind of slowed down regular production of episodes for the channel, but that we're still having fun doing stuff, and this should probably drop.
Busy people.
We are very busy. Oh my god, this month has been in completely nuts. And so we'll be, we'll hopefully be covering the game at some point in the future. I will definitely be covering Reverse in some extent. And we're very excited for Silent Hill F-Stop.
Yeah.
And in terms of Resident Evil or Silent Hill, if we have to pick a winner, I am picking Resident Evil.
100%.
But yeah, that's just been kind of the case for the last like 10 years.
Sorry, but
Cool.
that's how it goes.
Anyway, Rick, any last thoughts you want to drop? Any other hot takes you want to spill out onto our users?
No, I mean, really looking forward to Resident Evil 4 Remake, and I'm hopeful for Silent Hill, but also not getting my hopes too high.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And with that ominous feel in the air, we leave you tonight, today, this morning, this eve, and we say to you out there in the darkness, drive safely.
Happy Halloween.
Okay, yeah, sure, fine.
Until next time, unpleasant dreams.